Hey guys, Brian Grossman here with Georgia Field, and I wanted to do another quick product review, this time on the Tasco 6 megapixel trail camera, the one that runs $28 and change at Walmart. I know a lot of guys are running these. A lot of guys have had questions about these and whether or not to, whether they're wasting their money buying these cheap trail cameras. And so I just wanted to give you my experience. I've been using them for about 3 months now. I have four or five of them now. And I guess for those of you with ADD, don't want to watch a long video, I'll get straight to the point and say that I think they're definitely worth the $30, no doubt. If you have a big property or lots of properties where you need to run a lot of cameras, or if you're like me and you run, you're mainly hunting public land, I can put these out there and get a little more sleep at night, as opposed to putting out one of my $150 mole trees. If one of these gets stolen, I'll still be upset, but not nearly as upset as I would be otherwise. So that's the big thing for me, but I do think they're definitely worth 30 bucks. Now for those of you who want a little more detail, stick around because we'll jump into the pros and cons of these. Starting with the pros, they're cheap. They're $30. You can't beat that. You can't hardly find another trail camera in that price range. So that's definitely the biggest plus. Trigger speed's acceptable. I think it's 1 second is the rated trigger speed on it. I haven't had any issues with getting just the butt end of a deer or something that gets out of frame before it triggers, so that seems to be acceptable. The flash on it's decent. It's got, I think, 22 low glow LEDs, so that seems to work fine. It's very simple to set up and use. There's not a whole lot of functions to it, so it's really easy to get going with a quick glance of the instructions. And I'll actually, at the end of this video, I'll run through it real quick, just show you how simple the setup is on it for those that are interested. If you're not, you can go ahead and stop it before I get to that point. But that's kind of the pros. The cons are, I guess the big thing for me is the image quality. It's not up to par with the mole trees that I'm used to, so don't expect these really clear, crisp images. If the deer's in close, then it's pretty good, but if you get a deer kind of in the background, what I find is it's real hard to zoom in and get any detail whatsoever on those deer. I've had a few bucks that I've gotten pictures of in the background, and I can tell they're decent. I can tell their spreads outside their ears, but you try to zoom in and you just can't get any more detail than that. So that's a little disappointing, but again, it's 30 bucks. What else we got as far as cons? Really, that's it. I have noticed, like, when you have some a mix of maybe sun and shade, it's not the best image quality. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but if you got an area where you have some sun coming through and you got shady spots and stuff, it seems to have trouble getting that light balance to get good pictures. But again, it's still, for 30 bucks, it's acceptable. The one thing I can't speak on is I can't really speak on the battery life yet. I think the manual says about 6 months, maybe even longer, up to a year on lithiums, but I've only had these 3 months and they haven't gone through a lot of photos because I'm using them on public land. I don't have corn pile out. They're just on trails and embedding areas, so it's not a whole lot of photos. So I can't speak on that. I haven't had to replace the batteries, haven't even really made a dent in them, so I think that's going to be acceptable as well. The sensor seems to be fine as far as how far out it'll trigger. Movement is another issue as far as the image quality. If the deer or any animal is moving at all, you get that typical blur that you see with some trail cameras, but again, not that big of a deal. And really, that's it. I would recommend, they're $28.88 or something like that at Walmart. For $2, you can throw on a 2-year warranty through Walmart. So to me, that's a no-brainer. If I can get 2 years out of a $30 trail camera, then I've definitely got my money's worth. Man, there was one other thing I was going to tell you, and it just completely left me. The extended warranty, definitely do that. And I did want to say, as a disclaimer, the first couple of these that I bought, one of them was DOA. I mean, I got home, it never would power up. So that's 1 out of 4 or 5 that I own now. That was just dead when I got home. Took it back to Walmart, switched it out. Wasn't any problem at all. But I did want to let you know I did have one that was a dud. But for $30, I don't think you can beat these as a public land hunter. I like putting these out. I don't lose that much sleep at night worrying about these getting stolen. I still don't want them to get stolen, but you know, if I lose a $30 camera, I'm not going to lose a whole lot of sleep. I'll be more worried about the photos that were on it and somebody seeing those than I am the actual camera itself. But certainly, if you can afford nicer cameras and you're running them on private land, then I wouldn't necessarily say these are for you. But if you need a bunch of cameras, or if you need cameras that you're not worried about as much getting stolen, then give these Tasco 6 megapixel cameras a try. I don't think you'll regret it. All right, guys, we're going to walk through the functions here real quick on this. The switch itself only has 3 settings. It's off, aim, so you can test the aim on it on the sensor, and then on, so it's ready to take pictures. So aim is where you're going to set up your options, and there's not a whole lot of options, so it's very simple to get going. This is your OK button here. So what you're going to do is walk through the time. Then you have the date, year. This is your delay, so how much of a delay you want between photos. I typically set mine for a minute, like you see here. It goes down, I think, 5 seconds up to maybe 5 minutes. The next option is the number of photos you want to take every time it's triggered, and I have it set on a 3-shot burst right now. You can set a camera ID, so if you're running multiple ones, you know, you can ID it. It'll put the ID time stamp on the photos, so you can tell which photos came from which camera. That simply means default, so if you want to return it to default settings, you would go to yes, but we don't want to do that, so default is no. Format the card, so if you need to format the SD card, you would go to yes. We don't need to do that, so no. And that's it. That's complete setup right there. And then all you got to do is whenever you're ready to use it, flip it to the on position. It's going to do a 10-second countdown and be ready to go. So pretty simple setup. And one last thing that I almost completely skipped over, this does have video function. I have not tested it yet. It's 720, I guess 720p video. So it is HD, 1280 by 720. It'll take 10 seconds. That's the only setting. There's no settings for video. It'll automatically take 10 seconds of video. And you would set that up when I was walking through the setup steps. When you get to the number of photos per trigger, that's where you would find the video option in there. So I did want to mention that. I almost forgot, but I think that's it. Again, if you got 30 bucks and you need a cheap trail camera, I don't think you'll be disappointed with the Tasco. So hope that helps somebody out.